Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am back just as promised to go over the last portion of the seller lead sheet. We're going to really focus on this portion of the seller lead sheet, the mortgage information. Very important, extremely important information. The reason being is that a lot of sellers who have property have mortgages. And in our situation, while we do make cash offers, a lot of times these particular sellers have mortgages and they are underwater, or they may have zero equity, which means that the mortgage balance is equal to the fair market value of the property. And in some situations, the mortgage may even be less than what the fair market value is. In any situation, what we will need to do, we will need to determine what the actual mortgage amount is. What is the payoff? And a few other of the details of the property, the mortgage, as I should say. The first question you're going to want to ask is, what do you currently own the property? Some people will not know exactly. They'll give you a ballpark estimate. This is fine. We will find out that exact number if we decide to move forward. You want to also ask, is there any other liens or mortgages on the property? Sometimes the property has not one but two mortgages that will need to be paid off. And sometimes there may even be a HELOC, home equity line of credit, or something of that attached to the property that will need to be paid down. And then if you notice, it says any other liens. Sometimes there may be a mechanic lien against the property, or in a situation that I had a few years ago where we were heading into closing and we found out that a particular owner of a property had a $50,000 federal tax lien against her, which also attached to any asset that she owned. It did not show up in our first research when we were initially researching the property using the tools that I had given you. It only came out when the title search was conducted, and it found that the owner herself had a federal tax lien which attached to any property that she owned. In that situation, the property was only worth $10,000, so there was no way we or anyone else with half a brain would pay $50,000 for a property that was only worth $10,000. So needs to say that deal fell apart right before closing. These questions here are very important because if a property owner is delinquent, it puts us in a very peculiar situation. So we would have to choose a strategy that would best suit that particular owner if the property was actually worth saving. So this question here, are you current on payments? So you want to know whether or not that the owner of the property is current on the payments. If they are not current, you want to ask how many months are you behind, or when was the last time you made a payment. When they go into 30, 60, 90 days late, it becomes another issue. You want to ask what is the amount they're behind. Sometimes they can only give you an estimate of what they're behind. And this is kind of set up, a little bit strange. I would have asked, what is your monthly payment, before I asked the amount you're behind. Because the monthly payment, they'll probably know if they've owned the property for a while and they've also made the payments for a while. Then it's kind of easy to say, okay, I know my mortgage is this amount per month, and you just multiply that number by however many months they are behind. Very important question to ask, are there any back taxes? Back taxes are a big thing, especially with some of these absentee properties or properties where they are probate or they have just been left sitting for a long time. We actually had a property last summer where the owner of the property had not paid taxes in about 8 years, and the amount of taxes owed was over $18,000. literally. And needless to say, that property was not closed. When we found out the property taxes were that much and hadn't been paid in that long, we could not negotiate with the investor who bought the taxes, and the property was also set to be torn down by the city. So it was pretty much a dead deal. You want to ask about the other lien amounts, if there are any other liens. Again, you want to know what the monthly payment is, and you want to know if that monthly payment includes the taxes and insurance. If it does, just put yes. If it does not, you will need the breakout for the taxes and insurance. I'm pretty sure you can find the amount of taxes online using the resources that I have already given you in previous videos. The insurance, they will need to look at their own personal records in order to determine what they are paying in insurance per year or biannually, or however the insurance disbursements are made. The interest rate on the mortgage is very, very important. You want to know what the interest rate is. Some people may not know automatically. They may give you a range, an estimate. So if they tell you it might be 6%, you want to put down, in between 6% and maybe 6.5. And we can verify that a little bit later on. More importantly, you want to know whether or not this mortgage is a fixed rate mortgage or an adjustable rate mortgage. If it's a fixed rate mortgage, you just check that off. If it's an adjustable rate mortgage, this means this person may be in a lot of trouble because adjustable rate mortgages are a very, very, very bad deal for most people. You want to know if there's a prepayment penalty attached to that mortgage. Sometimes, well, at least 95% of the time, 99% of the time, there is a prepayment penalty attached to that mortgage. There's a due on sale clause that causes the mortgage to be paid in full on the sale of that property. You want to find out exactly who the first mortgage company is and who the second mortgage company is. There's a second mortgage on the property. This section down here, you don't really need to worry about. I will take care of this once I make the initial contact with the owner of the property. One thing that you do want to make sure is that you place your name here, your phone number, and the date that you submitted this lease, so we can stay organized and move together as efficiently and effectively as possible. And that ends the second part of this training. Good luck. Let's make some money.